If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Hi guys, welcome back to LTF1. I'm here alone today because unfortunately Ishan's out with the virus. He's okay. He's not doing too badly, but he's just not feeling up to this recording. What a race. Where do we even start? Well, let's start at the start. Bottas. Obviously, the conspiracy theories have already started to swirl. I've seen them on Twitter, I think. Reddit's definitely going to have them. Bottas took the Red Bulls out on purpose. No, he didn't. They started in conditions that they hadn't started in before. They had no wet running on this track either. And he just overcooked it, really. It just looked like he was too late on it. Unfortunately, he took out Lando. And that just started a chain reaction. He took out Lando took out Verstappen. And then Bottas went into Perez. Not sure why Perez had to actually retire it. I didn't catch it. His wheels all looked to be on and facing the right direction. So maybe something else went wrong with the car. But Verstappen, very lucky to even be able to continue in the race after that contact from Norris. It was probably the perfect way for Norris to go into Verstappen. Any other way, and I'd probably see him retiring. But yeah, that allowed... And then further back, we had Stroll doing basically the exact same thing as Bottas did, but Stroll then tried to take avoiding action, which meant he avoided OCON, but he took Leclerc out. The story of today's race could have been entirely different. It could have been Ferrari back on the top step, but it was a first win for OCON and a really deserved win for OCON as well. So yeah, then we had Stroll out, Ricciardo spun around, Perez out, Verstappen to the back, and we had Lando out as well, which was a real shame because it looked like they might be able to get his car ready during the red flag period, but it just, something had clearly taken too big of a knock. Replacing things at the rear is really difficult as well, so they just probably didn't have time to do it. And then we got to the restart. Everybody had the red flag period to assess the conditions, and I was actually really surprised that no one tried to chance it further down the field by just doing the standing start on slicks. Obviously, halfway through the formation lap, almost all of our drivers realized that slicks were going to be the way forward and it was probably time to pit. But Hamilton, being the leading car, probably felt like he couldn't go through the pit lane because it's always more difficult when you're in the lead. So he stays out. We get the best standing start I've ever seen in my life, one car. And then everybody files in behind him after he goes. And it was clear to see that he was definitely gonna drop as soon as the first few cars came in. And for one lap, we had Russell in P2, and it looked good. We knew Hamilton was gonna fall to the back, and it was looking like Russell to lead the race. For some reason, Williams told him that he needed to give the positions back. Now, that might be in the rule book, fair enough. He might have had to give the positions back, and it probably benefited his race overall. But as far as I understand it, he undercut people on the formation lap. So while he was going into the pits, he sped up and drove past people. That is just cunning from him. I feel as though he was robbed of something today. But then he had his teammate up there. Latifi was up there in P2, P3. And we knew we were going to have an exciting race. We had the whole race in front of us. And thankfully, the teams didn't go with a boring, stick the hards on, try to make it to the end mentality. And the driving from everyone was first rate, literally. I don't think we've had a race for a while with this level of consistently good driving all the way through the field. Battles for the lead, battles for the podium, and battles for the bottom of the points. And it was really, really interesting to see Verstappen and Hamilton out of place. Obviously, Verstappen still had a lot of damage, even though they got some repairs done during the red flag. It was really interesting to see how they'd come back through. Hamilton and Mercedes smashed it with the undercut, getting past Ricciardo and Verstappen. Had they not got past Ricciardo at that point, I feel like he probably would have just stuck behind him for the rest of the race. He may not have got past, similar to how it was with Alonso. The cars are just a bit too close. And then with the Mercedes power in the back of the McLaren, probably wouldn't have been able to get past until the last few laps like Verstappen did. But then Hamilton went on a charge. Once he cleared those two after coming out from his pit stop, he was on fire, just hunting down cars and getting past them all the way until Alonso, who for me did just as much as OCON to win this race for Alpine. Alonso provided probably the perfect defense. It was on the edge, but it was always fair. It was harsh, but he never went over that line, in my opinion. Obviously, Hamilton was going to complain. The chasing car always does. But for me, Alonso got it perfect, and he held up Hamilton just enough so that Alonso, and by consequence Vettel, could have an easier run to the line. If he hadn't done that, if Hamilton had got through when Alonso had that little bit, not a mistake, but if Hamilton had got through when Raikkonen held him up, then Vettel's probably not P2, Ocon's maybe not P1. And then even in the laps after that, the 4 or 5 chances Hamilton had at getting past Ocon, getting past Alonso when he had the chance, if he'd got through on one of those times, we're probably looking at a Hamilton win for this race. He didn't. Ocon did exactly what he needed to do out front, and he kept Vettel behind him. Vettel did nothing wrong, but Ocon didn't do anything wrong either. He may have made 1 or 2 very small mistakes, but nothing big enough that Vettel could capitalize on. Alonso did the same. He made no mistakes until he locked up and allowed Hamilton to get past, which seemed inevitable. On those tyres, to hold him off for that long, it was really a masterclass in driving. Then Sainz in the middle was kind of no man's land. He was sort of catching up to those ahead of him, but he needed to keep an eye out for Alonso and Hamilton behind, and he was just kind of nowhere. He didn't hold Hamilton up as much as I thought he would. It was a lap and a half, and Hamilton was by. So maybe he could have done a little bit better. I can't help but feel Leclerc would have done better in that situation. But yeah, it was just an amazing race. And we look at the podium afterwards. Like, some people will be saying that it's dramatics from Hamilton. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But he literally looked like he couldn't stand. And if you're hearing whistles in the background, I apologize. My cousins are here. They're only kids. Probably gonna cut this out. It looked like he couldn't even stand. You go back to the images of Mansell fainting and Senna fainting in his car after a really, really difficult race. That's what this podium looked like. At one point, Ocon even looked over. He was like, "You're at me. No, don't worry about me." It was exactly the type of race we want to see. It's exactly the type of race I'm scared we won't get to see once these new regulations come in. But it's given us something great to go off of into the summer break. How cruel is it that we're going into the summer break with such a great race, leaving us all wanting more, but we're going to have to wait to the end of the month. Luckily, we're coming back to another great track. At Spa, anything could happen. At Spa, really, you'd expect McLaren to really, really be in the mix. Aston Martin might be able to get up there with the Mercedes engine. Red Bull and Mercedes are obviously neck and neck now anyways, and it's all to play for in the championship. Verstappen's had 2 horrible races, and Christian Horner's Helmut Marko, they've lost their minds over the last 2 weeks. They lost their mind after Silverstone anyways, with the lawyer and all the bullshit that they had out in the press, but they're definitely going to be fuming after this one. It's going to be an interesting summer break, if not for the press, then just for the anticipation of Spa. But yeah, so much happened, I don't even know what to talk about, so I'm just going to leave it there. Quick race review for you, race roundup, not even a review really. But yeah, we'll see you next time. We have got more videos coming for you in the break. We're thinking about starting a career mode. We're thinking about maybe a My Team or a co-op career mode. Breaking Point seems to have been done to death, even though it is a really good gameplay experience. Yeah, so hopefully you get some more videos from us over the summer break, and we'll see you soon.